Hi, my name is Amy Guest, and I own and operate eatinghealthyspendingless.com. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that is a huge issue to so many women, and it's how do I get my husband to join in on the budget? So I think that I am a pretty good person to be answering this question because my husband and I did not do the Financial Peace University with Dave Ramsey together. I have read Total Money Makeover and we are on the debt-free journey. However, we did not watch the courses together. And so that is something that we actually have agreed to do this summer, which I'm really excited about. My husband is a school teacher, and so he has the summers off. And so we are just going to focus on watching those videos. But anyways, I would love to give you a little bit of a backstory as to our journey of how we got into debt, and then also how we are both on the same page now to get out of debt. So when my husband and I first got married, we lived on a beans and rice and beans budget, just like Dave Ramsey says. But we were doing it because we were broke. So my husband went to seminary to get his master's degree in Texas. And so we moved out there with no jobs, and we had a little bit in our savings account. And so I started working at a dental office. We were making very little. And we learned how to get by on very little right into the beginning of our marriage. So when my husband got out of seminary and he got a full-time job, there was that kind of want to use the money that we now had in our bank account to kind of enjoy. And so we got into the routine of swiping the debit card, using a credit card to earn points, because that's important in our mindset. And so we really got away from the cash system. And that is where our financial debt started. We got this temporary happiness from having the cash in our bank account, and we were eating out a lot, way more than we should have. So then take it a couple years later, my husband got an even better job with even more pay. And so we progressively got worse and worse and worse over time. We weren't significantly in debt. We had a few student loans, credit card debt, and some medical debt from when we had our daughter, but we weren't in like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. However, with that said, we still were not on the right track that we needed to be on. So I had heard a lot about Financial Peace University. I had heard a lot about the cash system. I was at that time running my own coupon website, teaching people how to save money. And I felt like I was really good at it. But this whole getting out of debt, managing your money correctly in God's eyes, I was not doing that to the extent that I could be. And so I wanted to start budgeting. I didn't technically like the cash system at the time, and so I just asked my husband, could you please just spend this amount of money a week? And then I said, and could you stop eating out at lunchtime and pack a lunch? Well, that didn't go over very well. He liked eating out every day. He would eat out with coworkers or just go by himself, and it just got out of control. He was spending $50, $60, $70 sometimes dollars a week just on eating out. And we started feeling that broke again. I was traumatized looking at our bank account, and I don't mean that dramatically. I'm being dead serious. I was starting to get nervous. And so I went to him and said, goodness, we can't be doing this whole eating out thing at lunchtime anymore. Could we pack a lunch? And his response was, well, if you pack it for me. So I was home at the time. I didn't have any excuse as to why I couldn't, and so I did. I started packing his lunch. But then it was, I don't want to eat the same thing every day. I don't want a sandwich every day. You know, can you make me other things? Well, I'm thinking, okay, like salad, burrito. You know, he didn't have access to a microwave at the time because he was in his car a lot. And so we just had this underlining bickering battle about eating out at lunch, not overspending in the bank account, and this whole cash system. I didn't really know what to do. I felt still at a loss at that point. And so a couple years ago, I expressed to my husband, and don't get me wrong, he's not the bad person in the situation. I'm just telling you how we got to where we are today. And so a couple years ago, I noticed every month we're going in the red. Where is the money going? I don't even know. And so we're tracking on our bank account, and it's eating out, small expense at Walmart, small expense at Target, buying shoes. Oh, well, someone needed shoes, we better buy them. And just not being as intentional about our budget as we could be. And so we sat down, and my husband and I both agreed, this is not working. We need a fix. And so that is when I started reading The Total Money Makeover. I got an Excel spreadsheet going of all of our bills, everything that my husband was making a month, we were tracking it to the penny. And that is where the switch happened. We both got sick and tired of being sick and tired of not having money. And yet we were bringing in plenty of money to live on every month. And so I asked him, would you be willing to use cash? Would you be willing to not ever use the debit card without talking to me first? And we both agreed. And so if your spouse is not quite on this budget train like you are, it does take some getting tired of being tired of the way that you're living. And that is where we both stood. We were both tired of it. We were tired of getting in the red for no apparent reason except our own stupidity and our own spending habits. That is when the switch happened. So now, every single month, so that's the backstory of how we got to where we are today. And now, this is what we do to stay in budget. I have my Excel sheet with all of my bills. I also have, sorry, that's my dog scratching. Also, I have a notebook. I call it my money diary, per se. If you are doing a food journal or you're on a food diet and you are tracking what you are eating, everything that you eat, you have to write it down. A lot of times you don't want to snack on foods because you don't want to write it down because then it makes it look really bad what you ate that day. So what we do is the same concept with money. The money journal, the money, whatever you want to call it, ledger. And it is just a plain standard notebook you can get at the dollar store, and I keep it on the counter. And it has how much money we have to begin with at every month, the beginning of every month. I subtract all of our bills that I pay, and then I subtract our cash allowances that we have for groceries, gas, personal money, things like that. And then there's that leftover amount, and that is the leftover amount that I need to tell that money where it's going. And so I'm choosing debt payoffs, savings, sinking funds, things that I need to save up for, or things that I need to pay off. That's where that money goes. And I make sure that I take out every single penny for that month. I tell that money where to go. And so now my husband knows that if he swipes that debit card, there might not be any money in the account for him to be spending, and we could go into the red. So there's this idea of being more careful, and he has cash to last him the entire month. He's a teacher. He gets paid once a month, and that's it. And I want to make sure that that last week of every month, we have plenty of gas money and we have plenty of grocery money. And so we are very intentional about how we spend every penny of our money in our bank account. So that's how we do it. I give him his allowance or personal money. It covers his gas and it covers anything that he wants to spend it on. So if he can carpool with another coworker to save some money, he does, because he doesn't want to use it all up. And so that is how we have gotten to where we are today. We no longer go into the red. We're paying off debt. We're putting money in sinking funds. That means putting money away for a certain purpose. So every month I put $50 away for medical. I put $25 away for home home expenses, like if our air conditioning unit goes out. And so there's always money being put away. So I'm telling every penny where to go and no more going in the red. If that means I have to stay home and not go to Target, then I stay home. And then I am thankful for what I already have. It's about finding that balance of, yes, I have some personal money that I can spend on what I want to spend it on, but then I also am saving money and being intentional and being a good steward of the money that God has given me. And so that is how we have gotten from swiping the debit card and going in the red and my husband not being on the same page. And that is where we are today. And it is a wonderful place to be. And pray for your spouse that God will change their heart to want to be a good steward of their money and to be a good steward of what they have and to spend their money intentionally for a greater purpose. You know, like Dave Ramsey says, you want to have an emergency fund and get out of debt, and you want to get to a point where you can give exponentially what God has given you, and then enjoy your future by being debt-free and living like nobody else. So that is how we did it. Okay, I hope that you guys will give me a thumbs up for this video, and I really appreciate the feedback. Have a great day. Bye-bye.